obviously, this is a completely different quarter than they had last year, this same time when advertisers were going through that massive pullback at the height of COVID. The demand apparently still there. What's your main takeaway?
Emily, it speaks to the innovation underway at the company. Obviously, Google or Alphabet's been investing throughout the downturn. The results were strong. Advertisers are coming back. But I think what's going to matter to this story over the next several quarters, and really the next few years, is the ability to continue innovating, investing in its people, coming up with differentiated solutions across search, YouTube, Google Cloud, really this broadening of the drivers. So a lot to like overall.
I spoke with Alphabet CFO Ruth Porat just before she got on the analyst call, and here's what she had to say about advertising growth. She said it was led by strong growth in retail specifically, but that it was broad-based, followed by travel, financial services, media, and entertainment. She did say that she couldn't give a lot of color on the current quarter because things are changing so quickly. A reference there to the Delta variant, CDC changing its guidance today. And I wonder how big a risk that is for Alphabet, given how much the company suffered when it came to that advertising pullback last summer, and what that means for the next few months if there's more uncertainty.
Emily, I think it is a dynamic. It's one, obviously, that all of us and certainly all the companies are contending with. I think we'll have to see how the next few months play out in terms of the Delta variant and the variants that will inevitably follow after the Delta. But what we're seeing here in the United States, and obviously depending on the country, globally, is that companies that are able to innovate and invest and deliver value to their customers, be it consumers or businesses, during this period, ones that aren't afraid to take risks and invest, they're able to come out stronger. And that's a really important part of, I think, the Alphabet story, certainly in search and clearly in their cloud business as well. So no question, it remains a very fluid environment, but that is going to be with us for the foreseeable future, in my view.
So let's talk about cloud revenue also jumping there, beating estimates $4.63 billion. Google's cloud still the smallest of the big three players, but investors very optimistic about it. Ruth Porat also optimistic about it. She told me that they're continuing to invest in the business. They're pleased with the results, continuing to build out their global footprint, their compute capacity. She specifically highlighted the progress that they have made in India. And what's interesting, this is a company that had a hiring freeze in the middle of the pandemic, but the workforce still grew 13%, and a lot of those new employees were joining the cloud division. How optimistic are you about Google getting a bigger piece of that pie relative to Amazon and Microsoft?
I think the cloud opportunity is significant for all three of those companies, Emily. What's important is that the market is continuing to grow, driven by new workloads in areas like artificial intelligence. Specifically for Google, it's very early. Clearly, Amazon is the leader, followed by Microsoft, who's done a terrific job with Azure. But with Google Cloud, under the leadership of Thomas Kurian, they have a very important role to play with their customers. When we speak to buyers and customers of Google Cloud, they find a lot of value in areas like analytics, like artificial intelligence. And so the company is in investment mode. I expect that to continue for the next several years. But you are seeing, and we saw it this quarter, and I think you'll see it over the next 2 to 3 years, outsized growth. And why that's important is, in addition to the top line, it makes Google or Alphabet a more durable business. We saw that with Amazon, with the Amazon Web Services. I think you're seeing something that is similar or rhymes, if you like, with Google Cloud. So a lot to like here, but it's a multi-year story.
Now, there are a lot of questions about return to work plans, especially with, the evolving Delta variant. I did ask Ruth Porat specifically whether Alphabet is reconsidering its plan to call workers back in September. Apple, of course, delayed their return to work until October. She didn't answer that question directly, but said that they're working very hard to build more flexibility into their model. Employees are responding to that. Even when they do come back in September, they'll be working in hybrid mode. And I wonder, do you see, a sort of new Google, a new tech industry in general, if all of these big tech companies can pull off this hybrid mode, working from home part of the time, in the office part of the time, what does that mean? And that could that start a sort of sea change in corporate culture for the more foreseeable future?
Emily, I think even before the pandemic, companies such as Google have done a terrific job incorporating a lot of the tools and technologies that they have built into their internal workflows and processes. And so the shift to going all remote was relatively seamless for some companies. Clearly, other companies have found it more challenging, and the environment is obviously difficult. What I suspect will happen over the next few years is that as more and more people get comfortable working remotely, clearly the tools are going to get better. In some cases, there will be more of a hybridized environment. In other cases, it will make sense for people to spend more time physically in the offices. But I think what's going to matter for Google and for other companies is whether they're able to continue collaborating and innovating effectively across their teams globally. That, to me, is going to be the magic. And that, in my view, is going to determine how effectively a company such as Google is going to be able to grow and ultimately deliver value to its users and advertisers, over the next 3-4 years. But this new environment is going to be with us, I think, for the foreseeable future.